5:31 PI. It's 6 after 2. Any Grace with Lalele Tofaina Oi featuring Loma, bringing Pacific people together. All right, and so Bulavinaka and Talo Falava to Supirit and to Tuila Leo Vauli.
Alo se fua langi ma.
Right, malo so for malangi mama oamai oi.
Amang we faftai.
Pacific Heartbeat team with the Heart Foundation. So we're talking diets today, Sue, and Leo Fionga to Tuila. And so we've asked our listeners if they know of any diets at the moment and if they've heard of any diets doing its round in the Pacific community. So we did touch on ketogenic last week, and today we're going to be touching on
Well, talofa lava and warm Pacific greetings, everybody, from Palangi Su. And yeah, last week it was about the ketogenic namai. And thanks to Semisi for ringing in. And we hope you got some really helpful information about the ketogenic diet. And that a good swap for it is the 4 food groups. But this week, we thought we'd have a chat about the paleo diet. So I'm not sure how many people know about that. But if you want to ring in and ask about anything about diets, it's 0800 000 531. But I'd just like to say a big talofa and warm Pacific greetings to my colleague here, Tutuila Leo. So thank you, Leo, for coming in today. And you're Siki Tato today.
Seki, thank you, Sue. Palangi Sue. And good afternoon to our listeners. I actually here by default. You know, like with anything, any Samoan family, when your mother goes out somewhere, someone has to go and carry her bag. So I'm here today to carry Sue Palangi Sue bag, his bag, because I'm not a nutritionist. I'm actually the community liaison lead for Pacific Heartbeat. So mahalo to everyone out there.
Well, thank you, Leo, for joining me. Standing in for Muffy. And so anybody ring in if you want to ask anything about diets. But until we get your call, there is going to be a $50 Pack and Save voucher up for grabs. So for whoever rings in, you'll go in the draw to win that Pack and Save voucher. So it's really worth a call. If you've got any burning questions about, we'd really love to know what, whether anybody in your family or community is doing diets and what they're doing. Is there anything you want to know about them? Any particular one? And if not, we can have a little chat about the paleo, because it seems to be pretty popular.
I'm sure some of my family will ring through.
Yeah. So anybody, do you guys, Namai or Leo, do you know anybody in your communities or families on the paleo diet at all?
I don't think I've heard. No, not really. But then there's friends and colleagues that are losing weight, and I'll have to ask them, what's the name of that diet?
No, none of my friends or community or people that I know of do the paleo. So, we'll be interested to hear people ring in and their experiences of paleo.
Yes, it would be good. And have you heard of it? Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have through social media, mainly through social media, and that's probably only of where I've come across paleo. So I'll be interested to see if anyone out there has been on that journey of paleo, because as you know, there's so many different diets and people love to see results, and then when they see the results, then they all decide to jump on board.
Yeah. And do you know what it is, what it's all about, the paleo? Have you?
No, can you tell me a bit more about it? Yeah. Well, first of all, with myself, it's what does the name paleo mean?
Paleo.
So if
Good
I look
question,
at it,
Leo.
it could be, if I was Samoan, it could be paleo.
Paleo.
And guess what, Sue and Tutuila, Lavinia asks you, she's just added a comment here that they did paleo 6-7 years ago and thoroughly enjoyed it when they all trimmed down in measurements from it. Yeah, way to go, Lavinia.
And be great to know, Lavinia, whether everybody's still on it or whether any of the weights crept on. That would be really interesting to know. Because the word comes from, I think it comes from Paleolithic, so something to do with coming from our ancestors, so eating like our ancestors did. That's where it's come from. So back in the day, ancestors, they really only ate things like lots of meat, lean meat, and they had, there wasn't any cows and things, so there was no dairy products like cheese and milk.
Yeah, definitely.
And there wasn't really any grains like rice and wheat, oats like our porridge, but they did have seeds and nuts and seeds, and probably some leaves and like the more colourful veggies and leaves off bushes and that sort of things. Yeah.
Are these the Palangi ancestors or?
True, because the Pacific ones, would have been eating seafood as well.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. Sorry, do we have a caller there?
No,
Lavinia
not just
hasn't come
yet.
back?
Yeah, Georgina hasn't come back.
Georgina?
Yeah, Fono has called. She's just wanting to listen in, and then maybe we'll go to Fono from Christchurch when he feels he has a question, or maybe he was on paleo for some time. Yeah, we'll have a listen to Fono. See in the next 5 minutes.
Do you think that these, because the one thing that I know is with these fad diets, they seem to always go in spurts. So
Yes.
longevity is the key.
Yes.
Do you think paleo is it?
Well, from experience, they do work, and our caller has just set testimony to that they did work and that they enjoyed it, because we found, because there's kind of whole food groups that have actually been taken out. So that's all your dairy products, your cheese and your milk, that's all your grains and your carbs, so that's like all your root vegetables like potatoes and your taro, and your grains like your bread and your rice, they come out. So if you're taking whole groups of foods, types of foods out, there's not as much energy or calories going into our bodies, so we do lose weight. But that was a good comment, Leo, about is it sustainable? Because I'm not sure whether not having rice and bread and taro and potato and dairy products, whether we can do that for the rest of our lives, and it'd be good to have a little chat about whether it's actually good for us. So what do you think about that, Leo?
I'm just thinking that sustainability, but also it'll be hard, especially for Pacifica people, because you will always go to funerals, these sort of functions.
Yes.
And if you're a hard out paleo, then you have to stay very disciplined. So that sustainability, I don't know if it can last unless you sit on a separate maybe you have a paleo table. Hey, at Whalawe Lavis you have a paleo, or the paleo people go sit in that corner.
And that's about trying to keep up with it. That's it. I think does make it very difficult in social situations. And I suppose as a nutritionist, Palangi Sue as a nutritionist, I worry about the health side of it thing, because we're pulling out whole food groups like our milk and our cheese and our yogurt. We're taking out our grains, we're taking out our taro, and what about the taro and the potato and the grains? They give us our energy every day, and they give us our roughage for our bowels.
And personally for me, I'd worry if because I coach the under 15 St. Paul's rugby team, I'd be worried if my young men went on this paleo diet and they turn up to the game on Saturday and they've had no carbohydrates or no energy.
And we've talked about the 4 food groups a lot of times on this show before, and we know that our grains and our starchy carbs like our taro and potato and kumara, they give us our energy. And I don't know if you know this, but our brains only work on carbs. So grains for brains, that's what Palangi Sue says.
Now, we're from the Heart Foundation. What effect would it have moving out some of these and sticking to a paleo diet? Would it have any effect on our heart?
Well, that's a good question, Leo, because the worry is with paleo, any meat's okay and any fat's okay. So that's the good fats and the bad fats. And we've talked about the good and the bad fats. And we know now that those bad fats, those animal fats, and I've got the artery model here that we'd shown before as well. Our artery being the hose that the blood flows through, and we've just chopped it off. And when we're born, it's so clear of fats. This is our artery. But as we eat those bad fats, over the years as we get older, they start to stick on the walls of the artery. And that's pretty scary, Leo, because our arteries, they might start that size. I'm looking at the end of a ballpoint pen here, but they can finish up just as small as the nib of our pen. So they can get blocked up. And what do you reckon would happen, Leo, if they blocked up with the bad fats in our heart or in our brain?
Oh, we'll be spending a lot of time at the Mangere Cemetery. Eh?
It's a sad thing.
And what the mete.
Yeah. So our mafu or our heart, we could have a heart attack.
Yes.
And in our brain, we could have a stroke. So that's my worry. The large amount of meat, we find most people on paleo just up the meat and the fat. They don't have any more colourful vegetables. And they're missing out on whole food groups. And so, yeah, even all that meat, you know, our kidneys have got to deal with the byproducts. It's not good for us to have all that meat.
Okay. Yeah. So what could we offer as a solution for our, because when you use that word a lot of meat, you know, suddenly our Pasifika people, they get all excited. Okay, the old whalawe-laves, you get all this beef supo, and then now you're saying cut back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon the solution is, Leo?
I-
you want to know what Palangi says?
The portions, eh? Just portion, eh?
Yeah, the portions, absolutely, yeah. And we've talked about it in all the other shows. Just the portions of those four food groups. Honestly, if, as Leo said, if we could have those four food groups, don't chop any of them out, because then we're not getting the milk for our teeth and our bones. We're not getting the grains for our brains. Leo's son's rugby team isn't getting the energy from the carbs.
They'd be in trouble if they didn't
So
have
we
any
can't
energy.
do our schoolwork and our work. So it's really just the four food groups in the right portion, as Leo said. That's really the way to go. And I think you've got a Samoan four food group one here, but I'm holding up our Eat for Health brochure that you can order from the Heart Foundation. But I've got the Palangi one, and that's our four food groups there. Yeah, the grains, the fruit and the veg, the milk and the milk products, and just a little bit of meat. Yeah, so yeah, that should keep us sweet. So is anybody ringing through, Namai?
Georgina said she was going to call back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Fono is on the line. He's still listening.
Yes.
He's still listening, yeah.
Has he got anything? Does Fono got anything he'd like to ask?
All
Is
right,
he-
so there you go.
They probably want us to bump it up to 100.
Maybe.
100 tala.
Maybe. Yes. And so, Fono, do you feel, have you heard of the paleo diet?
Anything you
No,
want
I
to know,
always
Fono?
got piece to say to your guest today about the diets. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
I'll take you to the Bible. Apostle Paul, he says, everything in moderation and you'll be all right. And then his book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 17. For the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. And then I have a joke to finish off. What do you call a woman with a man on her head? Upside down.
Was that a trick question?
That was a trick question. Yeah, yeah. There you go. So, what do you call a woman with a man on her head upside down? Fono, thank you. Thank you for those words.
Malo fono.
Yeah,
And I
malo.
Yeah, Whānau's got an absolute point that, our body is a temple, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
we should be
amen.
respecting it and everything in moderation, like
That's
you
right.
said. So thank you for those wise words, Whānau.
Thank you
And
indeed.
it's all in the Bible there, for sure.
Thank you for that, fono.
Yeah.
Ioi.
And we do have a lot of ministers that are taking that lead with exercise and portions and looking after themselves. So it's always fantastic when you get the young men and women of the cloth leading from the front.
Yeah,
Yep.
indeed.
Yeah, it's good. So it doesn't look like there's anybody else ringing in.
No.
So we've got 2 to go in the draw for the $50 Pack and Save voucher.
Yes.
And that's must be.
What's the number again, Sue?
It is 0800 000 531. So if anybody wants one more quick question before we wrap the program, we'll be back again next week. But yes, Namai, have you got any burning questions about any diets or about the paleo? Is there anything that you would like to know about it?
All right. I was just thinking, with our ancestors, they did live long, eh? Yeah.
They did live long.
I don't think
yes.
they, they saw the doctors often in those days, eh? Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think the food was quite different then, like I think Leo mentioned in the islands that there's a lot of fish. For the Palangis, we had a lot of meat, but it was really lean meat. It wasn't fatty meat, and there wasn't any salt. So it was quite healthy and lots of plants. But over the millennium, we have developed, we can actually eat these new foods now, like the grains and the dairy. There are some groups like the Asians that have difficulty with dairy, but most of the rest of us, we're fine with it. Yeah.
Let's just have a listen to Sweeney, one of our matuas. Sweeney, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now you're listening to the Paleo Diet with Sue and Leo. Did you have a burning question?
Well, yeah, I just have a question, to know whether this is okay or not. Because what my diet is, my own diet is, I eat a lot, and I do walking a lot. I eat the right food, and also to get sweat to burn up the food that I can load it into my tummy.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're eating. It sounds like you're eating trying to eat the right food and a lot of food, but you're doing a lot of exercise to burn it up, and that's
right.
fantastic. Yeah, but just be careful. I'm just thinking about those the meat and the bad fats. That we've really got to think about the portions, as Leo said, about those. Because even if we do a lot of exercise, we're still getting those bad fats in there, sticking in our arteries. So it's really good to trim the fat off and to think about the portion and up the veggies, especially those colourful vegetables.
And how will suggest if we're talking about portions?
Portions.
How much veggies can we?
Yeah, well, lots of times we've talked. Can you remember Namai for the colourful vegetables?
The palm of your hand?
2 palms.
2 palms.
Yeah, you can have 2. We're holding up both our
That's right.
hands here.
Yeah.
And for the starchy ones like the taro and the potato and that sort of thing, can you remember, Leo? Your fist. And Leo's fist
Oh, what about my
way
fist? It's a
bigger
bit
than
bigger.
my Palangi Sue's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
Your
that's
fist,
good news for us bigger people,
That's
eh?
good news for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right. So thank you, Sweeney.
yes,
All right.
thank you, Sweeney. You go in the draw as well for the $50 Pack and Save voucher.
All right. Good. Okay.
So we've probably had enough questions for this week, have we?
That's right.
Namai?
Yes, and good to hear from the gentlemen. And they were gentlemen, the 2 callers.
Yeah, so
and
they're-
Georgina's busy with housework and she might call again. yes.
We'll put her in the draw though
Yep.
for that $50
Okay,
voucher.
we shall.
Yeah. So thank you, Namai, for for hosting us today, and thank you,
Thank you,
Leo.
Maro,
So
for
welcome.
taking
Yeah,
that one.
and we hope you all stay well out there, and take good care. and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, listen in,
Take
and
care.
hopefully someone else can win a $50 pack in South Feature. So for this
mai,
week.
yeah.
There you go. All right.
I don't have to go like this.
Pacifica Health Talanoa, proudly brought to you by Pacific Heartbeat at the Heart Foundation.
Right, it's 26 after 2. Here's Offa Ali with Lembuna. And so if you call every week, can call to ask Sue or Leo or Mafi a question, you will go into the draw, like Fono, Georgina, and Sweeney. All right, and news in Tongan with Filippo Motulalo at 2:30.
Come on and dance. Yeah. Come on and dance. Yeah. Come on and dance.
Batman suit movie day, let's go now.
Baby